You see them in every walk of life, that person sitting in the cubicle next to yours who counts out the exact number of ketchup packets to use while also counting the exact number of fries in the package to make sure they have not been shortchanged, who then threaten to take the fries back to the fast food restaurant 6 miles away because they didn't receive the promised 35 fries in each packet. You know the type. They are the residents of Outland, and reasons why we must remain ever vigilant in pointing out their neighbors and remote family members. We begin today in Los Angeles. Certainly we've all seen the stories about the terrible water main break there, the millions of gallons of water that poured into the streets. One can only wonder what would happen if the police get called by somebody who had an emergency call that perhaps was not entirely an emergency.
We do have a DWP spokesperson now on the phone, Louis Slungpugh. I hope I pronounced the last name correctly.
Yes, ma'am, it's Slungpugh.
Oh, thank you very much. What can you tell us about this? Or is it something you've ever seen before like this?
It appears that we have a water main that broke, and the apparent cause of the water main that broke was, it's coming into us from our troops on the ground. Basically, that a couple of college students might have sent down a cherry bomb down the toilet.
Is this something that happens because of the UCLA campus and kids playing around, or is it the high school campus, or do you know the source?
Right now, we're still in the investigation phase. It just seems that the break might have come somewhere around the Park Pavilion area, one of the locker rooms. It was either a cherry bomb or someone took a really large dump, you know?
That is an incredible. So, are you 100% sure about that? Is? Oh, we lost him. I'm sorry about that. We hope to get him back and find out how they're going to close down that main.
Next up, always be careful, kids, when you work in television. Proving that Florida doesn't always get the really winners here. How about the zombie walk recently? This happened at the 2014 San Diego Zombie Walk. They were pretending to be zombies, and it didn't quite work out. Someone did indeed shatter the windshield here, and at last word, no one was seriously hurt. But we should point out that no one, absolutely no one, was hired for an episode of The Walking Dead. Speaking of perhaps what could be The Walking Dead, it is possible in certain portions of the country to outrun law enforcement officers. Let's be honest, it happens all the time. We've seen it. You can do it. However, there are certain things that the law enforcement officers do carry in their hands and in their utility belts that perhaps cannot be easily outrun.
Put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest. Put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest.
Come on, cop! You can't do this, dude!
Running down Wells.
You can't do this!
Tased! Ah! Put your hands behind your back. Keep your hands behind your back. You're gonna get
Are you filming this?
I'm warning you. Keep
She's
your hands
filming.
behind your back.
Go ahead, film it.
Put your hands behind your back.
We here at Outland would always suggest that you try your best to stay in as good a shape as possible, because one never knows what may happen. You never know what kind of a situation that you may be forced into at any given time. You have to be ready. You have to be prepared. It is, of course, the old Boy Scout motto from time to time. So we do suggest that you are prepared for your job. However, if in those cases you may not be completely and physically and ready for your job, one should always have the proper tools available in order to make sure that your job is still workable and you still have no problem. We should once again point out that it is never a good idea to run from the law. It is always a good idea to make sure that you stand your ground and at least wait for them. Be nice, be gentle, don't be a bad person, because it will keep you from getting tased, which hurts, just in case you're wondering, all right? It is not pleasant. No, I do not speak from experience, but that's another story. And now it's time for this edition of Max to Money.
You're watching Max to Money.
When it comes to investing, you always hear that past performance is no guarantee of future success. Yet many investors ignore that mantra and so often make three very common mistakes.
first mistake is chasing returns. This is commonly referred to as rearview mirror investing. This is like driving down the highway only looking in your rearview mirror, and we know how dangerous that can be. Second mistake is trying to time the markets. There's a baseball Hall of Fame, there's a rock and roll Hall of Fame, but the market timing Hall of Fame is an empty room. And the third mistake most common is chasing yield. This should be the most conservative aspect of your portfolio, but when you chase yield, you tend to take on more risk than you bargained for.
So don't fall victim to those mistakes. Talk to a financial advisor and have a strategy so that when you find that next gem, make sure not to get in too late or exit too soon. I'm Karina Brez.
Get more money news at Newsmax.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ben Carson. Obamacare isn't working for all Americans. Let's stop, take a deep breath, and recognize it's seriously flawed. Let's put patients first by focusing on free market solutions Americans can be proud of. America is blessed with a creative spirit that has conquered diseases, ended epidemics, and given millions of people the opportunity to live longer, healthier lives. We can once again have the greatest healthcare system on earth if Washington gets out of the way. If you want to hold Washington accountable and truly save American healthcare, join me and sign our petition today.
Call 1-800-425-6299 and sign the petition to save our healthcare. Call 1-800-425-6299 or visit our website and sign the petition today.
Let's work together and save American healthcare, sign the petition, and unleash the great American spirit again.
American Legacy PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Are you ready to take it all off this summer?
I took it all off, and I'm glad I did. 35 pounds gone.
If you said that I could get in a bathing suit again, I'd say you're crazy. But I did it.
There's still time to look hot and feel great this summer. And now, lose your first 5 pounds fast with a Fast 5 from Nutrisystem.
I've lost 40.5 pounds on Nutrisystem, and I feel fabulous.
You'll lose 5 pounds your first week or your money back, guaranteed.
I'm Erin, and I lost 30 pounds.
Order your 28-day My Way plan right now, and we'll rush you the Fast 5 free. You'll get 1 week of fantastic energizing shakes, 1 week of amazing Craving Crusher shakes, 1 week of delicious meals, all free. And the best news, call in the next 4 minutes and you'll also get the all-new smoothies, absolutely free. Millions of people have lost weight with Nutrisystem, and now you can too. Time is running out. Call now and get all this, plus 1 week of smoothies free. Don't wait.
Call 877-295-SIZE and lose your first 5 pounds free.
We, the people of the United States,
in order to form a more perfect union,
establish justice,
ensure domestic tranquility,
provide for the common defense,
promote the general welfare,
and secure the blessings of liberty
to ourselves and our posterity,
do ordain and establish this Constitution
for the United States of America.
Midtown Pharmacy owner Stuart Zuckerman is eager to stock medical marijuana for anyone with a valid prescription, but he won't clear space on the shelves just yet. Once passed, it won't go into effect for 18 months, giving the state health department time to oversee growing it, training doctors, and registering patients. Some New Yorkers are stoked.
If you can legalize it and you can regulate it, then, that's all the better for the community. And it brings money into the cities that need it.
Well, the state of New York has made a powerful move to ensure medical marijuana is available to everyone. This while certain doctors talk about how necessary it is to have this drug available in every state and for a plethora of patients. Others still decry it as being a gateway drug that has no purpose for being included in the treatment of the sick or anybody for that matter. All of this while politicians everywhere are going to face some hard choices as to where they stand, why they stand there, and how it will affect their chances at getting to or remaining in office. Let's welcome to MidPoint the Chairman Emeritus of the First Amendment Lawyers Association. Daniel Aaronson joins us here, and also the host of the syndicated talk show bearing his name, Ed Woodson, is here to my left. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to start with you on the legal side of things. Aren't we really just on a slope here where if anybody doesn't want marijuana to eventually be completely decriminalized and available like cigarettes, you're fighting a losing battle?
I would say that eventually marijuana will become legal throughout this country. So if that's the question that you're asking, the answer is yes, I believe so. But that is a different question than whether it is needed for medical use.
Correct.
And the answer to that is it certainly is. It has proven through tests, through years of use, that in fact it can help people who have incredibly debilitating diseases, glaucoma and other things like that. So those are two separate questions. The answer to your first one is yes, I believe eventually it will be legal throughout the country, but right now the issue is medical marijuana and it needs to be legal.
Medical marijuana does indeed. You are exactly right. Would you not agree at least that from that perspective, medical marijuana, you shouldn't fight this? It's necessary for a lot of people.
Absolutely. In fact, it's going to be on the ballot in November in Florida. The latest polling shows Quinnipiac gets 88% favor medical marijuana. And interestingly enough, 55% of respondents would rather it be legal for all use.
See, which is the slope that I'm talking about here. It certainly is true, because you are right. Medically speaking, absolutely. But we are on that slope right here where a lot of politicians are going to be facing this very soon. You're going to have to make a choice as to how you stand on this, and it would seem to many people that it's going to be a losing battle if you're going to fight decriminalization of marijuana. It will wind up legal in this country.
I think so. In fact, I think that it will eclipse gay marriage as the fundamental issue probably in 2016. I think you already see Rand Paul has already put up a couple trial balloons talking about it. And I think, in fact, I believe that the GOP should probably get behind it. Isn't it high time that we legalize?
No pun intended?
marijuana?
No pun intended whatsoever?
No.
Okay, just making sure. From a legal standpoint, though, these battles are going to go on still for some time, because you still have people and, of course, politicians who are going to continue to fight this. Isn't it just decreasing, though, the people who are going to continue to want to fight this battle about marijuana?
It may be decreasing the amount of people that want to fight the battle against it. I think it'll amp up as far as their energy against it. I think you will have a core amount of people who will have their political connections, who will have their justifications, who will fight it tooth and nail. So I don't think it's this slippery slope that you're talking about, or the slope that you're talking about. I don't think it occurs that fast. I think it's an eventuality. I think the first thing that needs to happen is that when society realizes that people who get medical marijuana aren't growing 3 heads and aren't out demonizing the world, and that you can live with that in your society, that's the next step to say, okay, then why can't we have it for recreational use? So I think it's a step-by-step process.
Step-by-step process?
Yeah, I think so. I think, look, you've got 23 states now where some form of marijuana is legal. You have Colorado and Washington State that have legalized it for recreational use. I think so far Colorado has raised between $30 and $40 million in tax revenue. You saw that San Bernardino is thinking about legalizing it because they want some revenue. They filed bankruptcy, I think, in 2009, and so they're looking for ways to come back, and municipalities, state and local municipalities, I think that it's something that they need to look at in terms of raising revenue.
We haven't heard about a lot of negative impacts, though, of legalization in many states. We still are hearing from some people that the gateway drug issue still comes up, but we had a guest on from Denver this week, and they talked about the fact that their homeless population is rising. That was in the Denver Post. She said absolutely not. That's not really a true story here. They haven't had a lot of the problems with it. Legally speaking, what are going to be a lot of the hurdles here when people want to legalize marijuana? Because then you got to keep it out of kids' hands, and there's going to be an awful lot of things here that are going to have to change.
Well, first of all, I think you have to come to the realization that if a person wants to get marijuana, medically or recreationally, right now it's probably 1 or 2 calls away for anybody. Somebody knows somebody that can get it for you. So it's not going to change society, because society is inundated with marijuana. It is just not legal. What it is illegal, putting people into pretrial intervention programs when they're caught, putting them into jail depending on the state you are, and even ending up in prison. So what it's doing is it's taxing the criminal justice system. It's out there. So what happens when you make it legal? When you make it legal, what you end up having is less people involved in the criminal justice system, more tax revenue for the cities, less infringements on people's rights.
Lowering the prison population of certain people. For instance, the black prison population, they say, will go down drastically.
Right. So what you do by acknowledging that it is part of our society is actually cure the evils that are going on with it, as opposed to creating the evils.
Do you get that too? Curing the evils by legalizing? Because boy, that's a lot of Republicans are going to have a tough time selling that to their constituencies.
Well, I think that the Republican Party needs to get behind it because this is an inevitability. I think that the first Republican that comes out for the legalization of marijuana, you know, a lot of Republicans talk about how they want to get new voters. This is a really easy way to get new voters. Think about it. The first one that comes out and says, I am for the legalization of marijuana, this is a pure bipartisan issue. And look, the war on drugs has been an abject failure. It's 40 years now. And I don't know I've never been punched in the face by a pothead, but drunks, they always want to get in a fight. There are more deaths attributed to alcohol than all drugs combined.
As we always joke about, instead of punching anybody, they're out fighting over ring dings at 3 o'clock in the morning and looking for the cheeseburger drive-in somewhere.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, we will talk about this a whole lot more as we get a lot closer here to what's happening medically and otherwise, certainly here in the state of Florida. Ed, always good to see you. Dan, thank you so much for being here today, my friends. The debate continues. Next hour, why being forced to sell a sports franchise is no real defeat for Donald Sterling. And after the break, a global scare that perhaps need to be tamped down just a bit here in America.